somebody at some point during the day tweeted at me and they said, Ruin Leon, the sexiest black YouTuber, should speak about this. And since you buttered me up with such compliments, we're going to watch it and react to it because I have no idea what it is. But given the title of it, Spain's Minister of Equality, Irene Montero, children X have the right to consent to sexual relations with adults, I'm pretty sure this is going to be something stupid. And mind you, it's 39 seconds. There's probably more to this, but this is what we're being given.
Sino para hablar de educación sexual, por ejemplo, que es un derecho de los niños y de las niñas, señoría, independientemente de quiénes sean sus familias, porque todos los niños, las niñas, les niñas de este país...
What is Children X? Like, have we evolved from Latinx to Children X? Pretty soon we're going to be calling everybody Black X, and White X, Caucasian X. Children X have the right to get to know their bodies.
Tienen derecho a conocer su propio cuerpo, a saber que ningún adulto puede tocar su cuerpo si ellos no quieren.
That's true.
Si ellos no...
They should know, and if they do not want them to, and that is a form of harm, that okay, so far I'm agreeing with some of this.
Tienen derecho a conocer que pueden amar o tener relaciones sexuales con quien les dé la gana, basadas, eso sí, en el consentimiento. Y esos son derechos que tienen reconocidos y que a ustedes no les gusta.
I'm sorry. One more time, make sure I got that right. Children should be able to what? Children have the right to know that they can love or have sexual relations with whomever they want to, based, of course, on consent. I'm sorry, but this is what we would like to call the slippery slope in reaching the absolute bare bottom. Because no, a children X, developed sperms at a young age, whatever you want to call kids, should know that there are people out there who will try to violate them. That is true. And I believe, and anybody could disagree, I believe kids should be aware in a PG manner that there are people out there that will try to harm them. And it's wise to let them know of certain indications so that they can scream and shout and let anybody in the vicinity know a situation is happening, aka don't touch me there. That's my no-no square. I know people laugh at that, but that's an honest PG way of going about it when teaching that to children. But children should not and forever should never be having coitus with adults, nor with each other. Yes, based on consent when they're older, that's a nice thing to have when you're dealing with people who are the same age and you're respectable adults, but no on the children. And for somebody to be in front of a group of people at a town hall, Congress meeting, whatever this is, and say, yeah, based on, of course, consent, kids should know that they have the right to be in love with whoever they want and make love and have sexual relations with whoever they want. No. Because you're not teaching them about sexual education. And I know people scoff at that, but honestly, let's all talk about it. If you're not going to teach your kid, what do you expect is going to happen in the future when they go to college and then they come back with 5 STDs and a baby? Oops. Whoops. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. No. Somebody should be teaching sexual education. The do's, the don'ts, the safe sex, the bad sex, the unconsensual. All of these things are necessary for these up-and-coming adults. These young teenagers stepping into adulthood and stepping into a world that is scary and unfair and circumstances could be confusing. But you completely lose me when you're going around saying children, based on consent, should know they have the right to sexual relationships with adults. No. Never. Not in a million years. And this further leads into the conversation about people who will exploit that. Because if you're going around saying that, all those maps, y'all know about them, they'll see that and say, oh, perfectly acceptable. And now we got to have another conversation about these weirdos who think it's okay to start boinking kids.
I use the term minor attracted person or MAP in the title and throughout the book for multiple reasons. First of all, because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And MAP advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term MAP. They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like a lot of people, when they hear the term, automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors. I've definitely heard the idea that you brought up, though, that the use of the term minor attracted person suggests that it's okay to be attracted to children. But using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction.
An abstract from Stephen Kirschner of Fredonia State University. Non-forcible adult child sex is thought to be morally wrong in part because it's non-consensual. In this paper, I argue against this notion. In particular, I reject accounts of the moral wrongfulness of adult child sex that rest on the absence of consent, concerns about adult exploitation of children, and the existence of morally primitive duty against such.
Children can't be willing things in general. It's an odd view in that they seem to will things all the time. They will participation in kickball. They will showing up, participating in the bar mitzvah lessons, bat mitzvah lessons. So there's all sorts of things that they will. You might think, well, maybe there's something distinct about sex that they can't really understand it. It's not clear to me that what they're not getting at is consent. I suspect what they want to say is, okay, they're willing participants, they're voluntary participants. They have some understanding what's going on, not understanding we do, but some understanding, but they haven't consented. Perhaps that's so, but that's a different claim from their being unwilling. There's just lots of activities that children engage in that they don't understand all that well. For example, when you first show up to participate in a judo tournament or you prepare for your bat mitzvah, I mean, you have a rough idea, but it's not clear how much you fully understand it. Imagine that an adult male wants to have a 12-year-old girl. Imagine that she's a willing participant. A very standard, very widely held view that there's something deeply wrong about this, and it's wrong independent of it being criminalized. It's not obvious to me that is in fact wrong. I think this is a mistake, and I think that exploring why it's a mistake will tell us not only things about adult-child, but also about fundamental principles of morality. If we're in the area of legislation rather than morality, here's a rule of thumb. If you don't know whether something has expected good or expected bad consequences, the thumb on the scale should go to liberty. So if we don't know whether willing with 15-year-olds is going to have net good or bad consequences, it's not like we say, oh, well, go ahead and ban it. The idea is that people trying to criminalize something bear the burden. And even having harsh opinions on this, before we condemn people for engaging these on the basis of probabilistic utilitarianism, we should know that it does pose a risk for those and only those willing participants. I don't think we know that.
Still the adult child, that's always a big seller.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had good friends who said, are you crazy? Do not write that book.
Man, listen, you're talking to a guy who for 25 years has been making arguments more or less in defense of adult child in classrooms. And I don't know if it's the same argument as yours, but I even authored a piece in the Daily Beast in which I called into question the age of consent laws, which is, and I brought to bear the arguments I was making in class. And I'm going to see how they
infringement case that we don't get, they can't give their valid consent, and therefore it's wrong in virtue of being a right infringement. And there's a view that it's exploitative. That even if it's not harmful, and even if it's not a right infringement, it's somehow an exploitation.
Right. I've heard all these. Yes. Okay.
Right. So those are the three dominant arguments. And none of these convince me. So me
neither.
The harm argument. Well, there's actual empirical controversy over this.
Sure. Yeah.
On the rights-based argument, I think, look, we make children do all sorts of things that we don't want to do.
Thank you.
We make them go to church. We make them go to the temple. We tell them to go to school. They got to go to the dentist. They got to go to their sister's ballet recital. And we don't care what they say. And they want to do things. We say no, right? They say, I want to stay up and watch, Creature Feature on WPIX until, 2 in the morning. We say, well, it's tough.
That is all a child's life is coercion.
Right, that's right.
Is coercion by adults and often to make the child do something for the adult's pleasure only.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You say, you're going to go to your great uncle's funeral, even though you want to go, and even though it's not in your interest.
Right.
So the rights-based argument's a little bit hard to follow.
No. Stop it. The weird game is over. I'm tired of this conversation. I'm tired of people thinking they can jump through hoops to sound like the smartest in the room when they're proving to everybody, whether it be in a room, whether it be on the internet, whether it be on any TV station, that they are saying things that are absolutely dumb and will not help children, but will be a detriment to children.